Yeah, I've had it put on me. I'm not faithful, see, to the church. Like somehow I become disconnected from the church when I leave the building. While I'm in the stupid building, I'm part of the church. When I'm not in the stupid building, idiotic building, ignorant, ridiculous building, then I'm not part of the church. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But now I'm going to read you a couple quotations here to further illustrate my point. Another guy who's a Catholic, if there ever was one, this guy. This ridiculous nonsense right here. There you go. How about this satanic nonsense? You know, here we have page 11. I haven't typed out here for sake of time. It'll be quicker to do it this way. Page 11, quote, "Real spiritual growth is never an isolated individualistic pursuit. Maturity is produced through relationships and community." You watch out for that word community. But you see that thing a lot of times with the independent fundamental Baptists. You shouldn't be isolated. Don't be a hermit now. Page 130. "We are created for community, fashioned for fellowship, you know, and formed for family, and none of us can fulfill God's purposes by ourselves." You mean like Paul that didn't see any of the brethren for 3 years? And there was another time there was 15 years? But I guess Paul was a backslidden state that whole time, right? Sure he was. Page 131. "Disconnected and cut off from the lifeblood of a local body, your spiritual life will wither and eventually cease to exist." Huh? So in other words, if you aren't part of a local church, then your spiritual life will wither and cease to exist? You mean you lose your salvation? You know? See, this is nonsense. What is this? This is Catholic. All right? Number 132, page 132 here. "The person who says, 'I don't need the church,' is either arrogant or ignorant." How about that? Sure. Page 133. "Many believe one can be a good Christian without joining or even attending a local church, but God would strongly disagree." Really? God would disagree with you not joining a local church? That's interesting because the term local church does not appear in the King James Bible. Huh. So if God disagrees, then he'd be contradicting his own word. Yeah. And you say, "But Bryan, Rick Warren's not an independent fundamental Baptist pastor." I know, but a lot of you independent fundamental Baptists out there have the same philosophies as Rick Warren when it comes to your church building. You don't think I'm legitimate, a lot of you, because I don't go to a church building. And I have no intention of ever going to a church building. Page 133. "You are not the body of Christ on your own. You need others to express that together, not separated. We are his body." Nonsense. Again, what do you do with a believer in Pakistan? Some guy gets online and gets saved. He goes out and he says, "I'm a member of the body of Christ." You know, he's dead. You know? He might have to fellowship, or worship the Lord on his own for a while. Page 134. He says here, quote, "Isolation breeds deceitfulness." Tell that to the Apostle Paul. Page 136. "Satan loves detached believers, unplugged from the life of the body, isolated from God's family, and unaccountable to spiritual leaders." Hello. Man of God, tell me what to do, right? You and your infallible papal decrees. "Because he knows they are defenseless and powerless against his tactics." Sure. So somebody who's detached, who's sick and tired of all the apostate Baptists and Catholics and Presbyterians and whoever in their area, and they say, "There's nobody here that believes the King James Bible, so I'm not going to be part of that." Then they're easy prey for the devil. No, quite the opposite is true. The people that stay in these apostate church buildings, they're the ones that are easy prey for the devil. So ridiculous. Page 143. "You were created for community." Sure. Page 151. "It means giving up our self-centeredness and independence in order to become interdependent." Check out the New Age philosophy with that one. Yeah, totally New Age. Just ridiculous. Page 176. You cannot grow to Christ-likeness alone. Want to bet? Did Paul? And I know you should go out, you should witness to people, you should try to fellowship with the brethren if you can. I understand that. I'm not saying that you should go live in a hole in the ground someplace, okay? No, you have a ministry of reconciliation. I understand that. But to force people to say, if you're not part of a local church, you're out of fellowship with God, you're some kind of rebel or something. That's nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Page 176. Remember, it's all about love, loving God and loving others. Oh, doesn't that just make you feel warm and fuzzy all over? Yeah. So, you say, what should you do with a book like that? Well, pretty much like that. And you say, Bryan, that was wrong. You shouldn't have done that. That was very, arrogant and ignorant and everything else. That guy, that book that I just threw there, is a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. That guy is going to send millions of people to hell. That guy has messed up church building, church groups. He's messed up people right and left. The man is a minister of Satan. I'd throw him like that if I could. All right? That guy's a wicked man. And Christians, let me just speak to something real quick here before I continue. The Laodicean church age is marked by people who are neither hot nor cold. They're lukewarm. It's time that we start to call out sin for what it is. It's time that we start to hate evil and love good. And I get real sick and tired of the brethren. I wouldn't take such a strong stand. I just wouldn't do that. That's offensive. You better offend people. You better take some strong stands. You better say, that Rick Warren book is a wicked piece of trash. It's not worthy to be toilet paper. If you're offended at me throwing Rick Warren's book, let me tell you, you got some problems. Kind of, funny too, this whole thing of Rick Warren, saying all this stuff, you can't grow to Christ-likeness alone. If you're not part of a local church, you're out of fellowship and blah, 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 whatever. It kind of reminds me of what George W. Bush said. Little clip here.
Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
Yeah. Either you're with us or you're with the terrorists. Sure. Of course, there's a link.